Like the rest of the technology world, I'm at VMworld this week, but I wanted to take the opportunity of being here with some of my colleagues to ask my colleague Jason Buffington a little bit about some of the interesting data protection angles that surfaced in our converged and hyperconverged infrastructure research earlier this year. So Jason, earlier this year we did some research on converged and hyperconverged infrastructures, and we asked users of these types of infrastructures what their required features and functions they'd like to see built into the systems are.
Okay.
And at the top of the list for both CI and HCI was built-in data protection.
Love that.
I knew you would. I knew you would. But help me understand that a little bit.
Sure.
Because how does implementing CI and HCI change the data protection processes and procedures that people need to go through that it would put it so high?
So it's a great question. So first things first, only 1 in 9 organizations rely solely on VM-based backups.
Okay.
Right? So for the other 8 out of 9 organizations, they're already supplementing VM backups with either snapshots or replication or both. Mm-hmm. And that could be happening at the hypervisor layer, that could be happening at the host layer or the storage layer, but they're already supplementing with something. Okay. And so if you're going to supplement with something, wouldn't it be nice if you were supplementing with what's built in to the underlying infrastructure components? Mm-hmm. So I'm delighted to hear about that. Now let me flip that around though. When the ESG data protection team, when we did some research earlier this year on how for protecting highly virtualized environments, we asked, how does hyperconverged and converged infrastructure affect your data protection strategy? And what we saw was the majority of organizations are still planning on retaining their VM backup solution as part of their mix. So think of it like belt and suspenders, right?
Okay.
Because they want to supplement it, but because some VMs could be on DIY hosts one week and then moved over into infrastructure, smarter infrastructure next, and maybe back again, you want to have consistency there for how policies move.
Isn't that a little counter to having it built in then? If I'm going to be moving workloads onto and off of my converged and hyperconverged platforms, I lose that data protection that's built into the platform as soon as the workload moves off. So isn't that counter to making the argument to using the built-in?
So any way you look at it, they're supplementing, right? So what I would say is that in most cases, I like the, if you have a best of breed, not every hyperconverged infrastructure has a best of breed built-in capability, but if you do, I would argue that those mission critical applications, once you have moved those VMs into those building blocks, you probably shouldn't take them off because now you have a belt and better suspenders, right? But any way you look at it, there'll be some workloads that will just go back and forth, but I like the idea of both, and I'm delighted to hear that the IT ops and virtualization folks are thinking about the infrastructure and the data protection folks who are responsible for backup and recovery, that they are seeing things the same way. I think that's great.
Me too. All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.